Hello, humans. Welcome to the M Word podcast brought to you by Martin. That's me.
And Matt.
That's him. Matt, good to see you.
You too, Matt.
Two guests with us. Regan. Going to keep calling you Regan. Where's Regan?
Regan, other way.
Okay.
Oh, Regan. Sorry. It is the other way. There you go. I'm Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, it's okay.
We'll talk about your career, long jump, high jump, good on the track in general. Ben, you're here, capacity, I suppose, sport S&C coach as well. Stop banging the table, Martin. And obviously to input around the strength and conditioning side as well of those sports, which I think will be an interesting conversation. Yeah. Regan. So let's start 18. Specialise in high jump, long jump. So can we start where can we start? Let's start with how you got into sport.
Okay, so I played football like when I was about probably four years old. I was playing for Oncom for years, and then I did a school sports day one year, and my mum and my dad was just like, "Right, you tried something else as well." Went down to like a Manx Harriers open meet, just in like my football kit, Chelsea kit, and I just loved it, like all of it, like all events, even like throwing events, sprinting, jumps. And I just went from there, really. I stopped playing football for a few years, and I was just doing athletics. Me and my brother, literally at the same time. He's 2 years older. And then slowly, when I got to about 11, and I started to like break records and stuff, like age group records, Isle of Man records, and then like checking like rankings in the UK, I noticed I was like quite high up. So when I started to think like I could actually like give this a proper go. That's where it really all started. And then I started taking it much more serious. I was about 13 when I first came to Ben.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you said that, because when you first came into the gym, I think you were still had half an eye on football still, didn't you?
Yeah,
I asked about sports and where do I focus the programs on, and you mentioned football, but obviously athletics. And I remember at the time having that conversation of, well, one of them's going to have to take over at some point because they're quite different sports. Obviously you chose the right one.
Yeah, I think my first program was actually on football.
It might have been, yeah.
And then about 6 months later, it changed.
And those early sports and being ranked, were they in the disciplines you do now or other disciplines?
Yeah, well, long jump, I didn't start high jump till I was 11 or 12. But I did long jump from when I was like 7. And I just loved it the whole time.
Right.
Pretty much.
So let's talk a bit about the long jump. I'm interested in the I suppose the phases, the again, like I suppose any sport, when you get right into technical detail, you realise, and obviously you'll know from all the things that need to work, which just, I mean, obviously it's being flipping here, but it's run and jump. It sounds basic, but obviously there's phases. Do you want to walk us through what those phases to a non long jumper like Matt and I and Ben, what that looks like and what you're thinking about, what's the areas you're thinking at, looking at, doing, and where you can improve in those areas.
Okay, so normal long jump run up for a senior would be around 20, 21 strides before you take off. So the first like 6 strides is about pushing out. It's really just accelerating, trying to get to top speed as quickly as possible. And closer you get to the board, you're just trying to get as quick, shorten your steps, stay tall, and then once you hit the board, you almost want to spring off. You don't want to lose any height. Either you want to stay as tall as possible, hips high, catapult off the jump, and then just be in the air for as long as possible.
And that 21 steps, how is that based on steps or is it distance? Because obviously these things like nowadays is probably calculated and measured and put under a microscope now to make sure you're at the optimum. Where does that magic number come from?
So it also depends. So you have 2 different types of jumpers. You have speed jumpers. I'm a speed jumper, or you get power jumpers. Power jumpers are typically much more bulky. Speed jumpers would be more skinny, but rely purely on speed. So speed jumper will need a much longer run up because it takes them longer to produce any power. They need the speed, whereas a power jumper, they'll be pushing their PBs off like a 15 stride run up, so they don't need as long. So my run up's always been quite long because I've relied on the speed. But then one of my training partners from over here, Sebastian, his run up was maybe 15 strides, and I think it's now only 17. He's 20, turning 21 soon.
Right. And when we talk power, we're talking just like bigger build, stronger in what upper body, and just can get to a speed quicker.
Yeah. So just put more force through the ground.
Right.
And it's easy to tell a difference. A power jumper or runner, you can hear their steps like pounding on the ground.
Okay.
Speed jumper, it's more light and delicate. They're just the two different types, and then that's how you kind of determine what you'll need for your run up.
And in coaching someone, you're looking at got speed jumper, but obviously you're trying to introduce power into that, I guess. You're trying to not change what he is, for the want of a better expression, but bring in the power aspect. Or do you just go, we're just focusing on speed? Speed's the thing.
Yeah. So I wouldn't get involved in Regan's speed session, so that'll be covered by probably your technical coach, I would imagine.
But I assume the feedback from that coach to you is we need to focus on this area, because speed work, we need to focus on less power.
Yeah.
Not less power.
I mean, my remit probably is fairly easy in the sense that regardless of whether I had a speed jumper or power jumper or a high jumper or whatever, I would always just want to increase that individual's speed and power ability, so their ability to produce force and produce it fast. I wouldn't really be changing that individual from one to the other.
Okay.
It would just be a case of we'll do the measurements and the tests and see where you're at now, and then obviously we want to try and improve them where we can.
Yeah.
So that sort of stuff doesn't really affect too much what I do. It's a strength and power sport. It's a strength and power discipline. So my goal is to just make Regan stronger and more powerful, and obviously he'll apply that in whatever way he would do.
Yeah, understood. So going back to the phases. So again, you see on TV, people stick like your start point for the run. You obviously, I assume, measure that out before kind of the event starts. Back step. I guess one of the big challenges is obviously not going into the clay or whatever it is, plastic. So that again, is that something in the runner's mind when they're going down to not go over the border? Is that I've measured this out, I just need to focus on my technique and everything else? Because that must be a distraction. Going, don't want to feel that stuff under my spikes.
Yeah, so you kind of want to just clear your mind. You don't want to be, if you think about going over the plasticine, subconsciously you're going to start sinking your hips, looking down at the board. So your strides are going to shorten. You're not going to be as quick. And you're not actually thinking about being as quick as possible and exploding off the board. So you got other things on your mind. You want to clear of that and just, when you train, it's repetitive. But you just train your run up. You just got to trust it. But there's so many things that can change your run up, like the wind, and different tracks are quicker than other tracks. So if a track's really hard, it's going to be really quick. So my run up in the Isle of Man is completely different to my run up if I was to go to Sheffield or Manchester. There's a track in Sheffield that's rock hard, so my run-up's about 1.5 meters difference.
Wow.
Because it's just so much quicker that you need to give yourself more room.
So that would increase your stride length.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And I remember years ago we did a podcast with Tom Gandy, who talked about grass and the thin grass. So can you, like, if you walk around a track, can you just immediately sense, just do a bit of work on it, and you're like, oh, I can feel this is...
You can tell after, like, you do your warm-up and some of your drills, you might feel, even on your warm-up jog around the track, you can tell if it's like a soft, spongy track or if it's like rock hard.
Right.
Yeah, you do tend to find that sometimes on new tracks, they're much more spongy and soft. So you lose much more. And it's more beneficial to a power jumper.
Right.
Because the speed's so important to a speed jumper that if the track's hard, it's good for us. It's also good for power jumpers, but if the track's soft, it doesn't really make too much difference to a power jumper.
That's interesting, because you could easily just go to a championship and the track, which you suppose you never, as an observer, you never really think it's the same for everyone, isn't it? But interesting, if there's wind ahead or behind, would that then suit a different type of jumper?
Yeah. So again, a power jumper is going to be less affected by a headwind.
Okay.
Because if a speed jumper's if you run into a headwind, you're going to be slower.
Yeah.
But if you're relying on more of your power, it's not going to affect you as much.
Yeah, right.
So headwinds are a bit of it's one of them things. Indoors, it's great. because it's like a level playing field really, but outdoors it's just what happens on the day.
Yeah.
So, in which situations are a speed runner better then?
For the perfect conditions for a speed jumper, you want a rock hard track and a tailwind.
So then I'm always interested in the landing phase, because obviously I guess it's also about getting the heels in as far as possible, and then trying to get yourself over the front, which to me always looks the moment of injury, because obviously one, you're impacting, and then two, I guess you're trying to counter move your body over.
Yeah, so there's actually some jumpers that literally just land completely on their ass, because to land on your heels, you don't want to be facing down at any point. You almost want to land horizontal and just hope that the speed you've created on the runway carries you to fly forward. So if you're landing on your heels, you're positioning yourself, you're actually going up and then down, but you want to go up and just along.
Oh, okay.
So I land on my heels and then fly forward, but you do get jumpers that will just land flat on their ass.
Yeah, okay. Do they sometimes I see them land? They're almost landing, like when we say flat, they're not falling back; they're just kind of landing sideways almost. Yeah. Okay, right. And typically, then I assume injury-wise, it's like Achilles, hamstrings. They're the things you have to keep in good order that Ben helps you with.
I don't think you've had many, have you? Touch wood?
No, I've been all good. So this Island Games in Orkney, when we got there, the sandpit was like rock hard. So when we were doing like training, like landing, it was we had to speak to them to get the sand. Like they had to water it down every day because it was so hard that when you were landing on it, it was actually like sore.
Oh, okay.
And everyone was like complaining about the triple jumpers as well. So if a pit's not like maintained properly, it can cause like some serious injuries.
Yeah, right. So in that in the long jump side, you've represented obviously the Ireland GB at different age categories. I'll talk a bit about those experiences and getting the call for that type of thing as well, or qualifying, however that works.
So I always did long jump, but it was kind of second to high jump. As soon as I started high jump kind of just went straight to the top. And then I only really started to take long jump properly serious maybe this year, in January this year. I managed to win national champs off maybe 6 long jump sessions. And then that's when I was like, I'm going to take it serious now. And then I got my GB call up for Loughborough International in May. So only like 5 months really. I've taken it like actually serious and actually like just making like some real like big technical changes that I never really looked into before. I kind of thought I'd enjoy long jump, but I'm not going to deep dive into technical issues much. I'm just going to enjoy it and then technically break apart high jump instead.
Yeah, okay.
And then since then, I've just really enjoyed long jump. I think it's I just love like the competitive aspect of it. It's like I change a lot between what I prefer, high jump or long jump. But I'd say it's been long jump for a while now.
It's funny, I remember before you went to Loughborough College, you were jumping around high jump about 198-ish, I remember. And then I was sort of in the background planning like project 2 meters. Like we need to get you over 2 meters. And then obviously you kind of dropped the bombshell that you were going to go to Loughborough College. And I was like, I've just planned this. But anyway, I stuck with him to do his S&C while he was at Loughborough. And then you broke 2 meters pretty quick. But then after that, it just went, you broke like what, 202, 205. It just went dead quick after that. It's almost just like the penny just dropped.
Yeah.
And then you just like PB'd so many times. And then it's funny how things, but I think confidence must be a big thing on that as well, because it's not like you would have changed anything drastically.
No.
Little tweaks. But then when you're confident, it just happens.
Yeah, I think because like I think 2024 was such a rapid increase in high jump. I think I was a bit naive. I almost just thought that'll just happen every year. So then when it didn't happen this year, your confidence kind of, like, why is it not happening? Because everything in training was saying I'm going to jump higher, but it just wasn't clicking when I was going to compete. I think high jump and pole are the only 2 events that you actually look at what you've got to do. Like in long jump, there's not a line that says this is first place. Okay. Whereas high jump, you're looking at a bar and you've got to get over it. And if you don't, that's it.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's the same with like sprinting. You're not looking at like 10.7 seconds. Like you don't know until you've done it. Whereas like you're literally looking at what you've got to do.
Yeah.
So if you're not fully confident, it's more
Playing
likely
on
it's
the
not going
mind.
to happen.
Yeah. And in those, if you don't mind, just finish off before we get onto high jump, long jump. What was I going to say? Well, I know what a question I do want to ask you. And again, probably too young to know this, but I'm interested I was interested in the long jump because, who holds the world record?
A long jump.
Yeah, long jump. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Powell.
Yeah. So have you watched that Olympic final?
Yeah.
But it's interesting because that final's back in 1989.
Yeah.
Him and Carl Lewis were going toe for toe. And then the world record previous to that was Bob Beamon back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And I'm just interested in that sport particularly. And it's the same with the high jump, that the records hang around for a long, long time, like 30 years. And obviously now Mike Powell's another 35 years. Long jump, triple jump, for an example, Jonathan Edwards still got the record from 30 years ago. I'm just interested in, obviously, sports science, everything's moving on fast. And I imagine if you look at 90, but probably all the other track disciplines, are probably all 20th century records, and just why that's not moving on. Or were they just that good, those athletes?
It's hard to say. I mean, don't know, maybe lack of doping control as well.
Wow. Love you, Mike Powell.
But
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. It is hard
I
to
suppose,
say.
yeah. I suppose, in many ways.
To say because, well, you could also argue that there's an element of like equipment doping going on as well with shoes and clothing and stuff. You could argue that, the edge that we can gain on that right now. So why isn't that eking out improvements at like the elite level? They would have done, those athletes in the past 50, 60 years would have all done their version of strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
It may not have looked quite like it does now. It may not have been in sort of fancy gyms with all this equipment, but like the Russians definitely were doing it. They're the ones that kind of
S&C or doping. Sorry, no.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, plyometrics, they kind of made plyometrics sexy.
Right.
They're the ones that kind of brought it to our attention, really. And then
I heard it called sexy, but carry on, Ben.
I love it.
Yeah, clearly.
But so I think they were all doing their versions of S&C.
Right.
So I don't think that's changed much.
Yeah.
So then
I hadn't really thought the doping's hard, but I guess you're going to generate more power and bulk and whatever else, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying they were, because...
Yeah. But then I would also argue that 30, 40 years ago, the tracks wouldn't have been as good as they are now.
Oh, right, yeah. That's what I mean. There's still ultimately small gains everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah.
Knowledge is better,
Well,
isn't
are
it,
they
to
just
apply
like
it.
freak athletes?
Yeah. I think just those two sports as well.
When I spoke so I had a coach in Loughborough from Poland, and he was saying about the difference now in terms of the strength and conditioning they're doing, and especially like the plyometric training they're doing. Not to call anyone soft now, but it's so different. Like when I see videos, it's like brutal training, whereas now it's almost people they're not trying to push to like the absolute limit. We're trying to go below that, and it's like all the high jump, triple jump, and long jump records are from so long ago when they were doing these brutal training sessions. That maybe that is a reason.
Yeah.
It's like especially the Russian, obviously they've been involved in a lot of doping, but when you look at their training regime, it's like properly brutal, like aggressive. And then when you look at now, some of the sessions I've had to do, it's it's completely different.
Yeah. Sounds like you need to up them a bit. That's what I'm hearing.
This topics came up in football as well, and they did question whether the training sessions aren't hard enough. But I think because we have a much more reliance on technology now, we can monitor a lot more things. We can monitor fatigue. So if an athlete has shown signs of fatigue, then as a practitioner, it wouldn't be right for me to then push Regan even harder and just ignore those signs. So, but maybe excluding tech and excluding kind of those advancements, maybe we would have done.
Yeah.
Like I might have pushed him or whoever a bit harder in the gym. And maybe it would just be a bit lucky that they didn't get injured in the gym. But as long as we can keep athletes fit and healthy, then at least they can go and compete and do their job. So that's kind of the main aim, really, is keep them fit and healthy first.
Yeah.
Injury prevention, and then obviously the performance enhancement side of it layers on top, because you can't increase performance if they're injured.
Yeah, I'd imagine, again, probably look at stats from 30 years ago, there's probably a lot more injuries than there is now, because a lot more management going on. So,
I imagine so.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, so that's long jump. So let's go. So you say you don't do triple?
I didn't until this year.
Oh, right. Okay.
I did it at Army Games.
Okay.
It was a chance for a medal.
Okay.
I'll just give it a go.
You
I
should
ended
do.
up like breaking the under 20 record. It was like 5 centimeters, sorry, off the senior Ireland record. So I think indoors I'm going to give it a go and see where that goes.
Right.
But I think the skills are so like transferable that I think that's why. I don't think it's like if you're a good high jumper and a good long jumper, I think you're going to be decent enough at triple jump.
Yeah.
Same energy systems as well, isn't it? It's not like if you're a good 100, you'll just jump up to 4 or 8 and just give it a go.
Yeah.
Like, it's a different energy system, so the technical aspect obviously is different. And to the average man on the street, we'd struggle, I think, with that transition. But I guess when you've got such knowledge on just jumping in general, you can probably transfer or transition quite easily.
Yeah. But I don't know if I read somewhere, I heard somewhere describe yourself as springy.
Yeah. I think my dad always used to say that.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That's the reason I started high jump. My dad took me down to the track one day. It was like, just try it.
Right.
And he was right.
Right. Do you think, obviously, looking at how humans are made up, do you think there's certain attributes in certain makeups of certain people that are going to thrive more than? I appreciate I'm slightly older, but if I took it up tomorrow, that I couldn't.
I think that
I appreciate the age.
I think that has to be, because with the use of the force plates now in the gym, I can look at these types of things, and maybe it's no surprise that Regan is top of the charts for like vertical jump testing, and that's a whole mix of athletes and ages, by the way. But it's trainable, and if you were to start jumping tomorrow, you'd have to start at a really low level, because your tendons won't be used to that type of demand. Like, there'll be research around, but the amount of force and body weight going through a single limb on long jump or high jump, well, the long jump, I would guess, would be around about 8 to 9 times body weight through that single limb.
Right. Wow.
So obviously your tendon structure has to be really strong to deal with that. Now, you could go and run and do one jump and it would be all right. I don't know how long it would be, but you'd get in the pit, hopefully. But if you continue to just go, right, I'm just going to do a week of training that Regan does, then you'd definitely get injured, because you just couldn't cope with the demands of that. So it's a bit like how you get stronger. Your tendons obviously have to adapt to the stimulus that you're asking it to do. And we do a little bit of that in the gym anyway, the kind of the continuum for me would start with assisted pogo jump. So remember the pogo stick that you had as a kid, like you just stand and hop on it. So you just do like these really light sort of rhythmic hops holding a band. So the band would be helping you do some of the work. Then you'd progress off the band and you do body weight, and then you do drop depth jump. So you'd start onto a height, you'd drop to the floor, spring off the floor. And obviously the higher that goes, the more body weight goes through. So there's a whole kind of process to it. But when you get 11, 12, 13-year-olds, some will be naturally more springy than others. And, it must be genetics. That has to be where it starts. Has to be.
Parents can take the glory for that then. So on long jump, if you hold a Manx record, 6:31, 7:31. 7:31, sorry, yeah. And that's a chunk from the previous record as well.
Yeah, I think it was 6:92 in 2007.
Yeah.
So I was first person to go over 7. There's 2 or 3 that are close now to 7 though, so it is pushing on.
Yeah. And why did you do that?
First time I went 7 meters was in think it was Middlesbrough, about June 2024.
Mhm.
So about 18 months ago or so.
And you do that again. We talked about confidence earlier. Is that, if you reflect on that now, was that like, did you then, I don't know whether you jumped straight into 7:31 or whether there was a couple and that's...
So when I first did 7, long jump wasn't my main event. That was when I was just purely doing it for fun. So then I did winter training, and I had glandular fever, so I was out for about 8 weeks without training. So when I went to nationals, and I didn't have any expectation. I jumped 7:28, and then that was in February, start of February. And I've jumped literally, I think I've jumped 7:28 4 times this year, 7:31 once, and then in the 7:20s another handful of times.
When you go to these events, do you have a distance in mind, or because from your training you'll obviously have an idea where you're probably in the ballpark, and then I appreciate when you say you're going before, could be track, could be wind, whatever it is. Do you always go, right, I want to hit 7x and see what happens, or is it like all competitors are, I've hit this, I need to get at least a centimetre more, or when you go back to it, like your high jump, you can see what you've got to do. Is it just, look, I'm just going to run, jump, and see where it lands?
I think in long jump, since January, every time I go into a comp, the aim is to jump 750 and tick off the Commonwealth standard. But if I get there and it's, say, a bad track or bad weather, in my head it's can't jump less than 7. You've got to do 7. But the first 4 is 750, and then do your first jump, see how it goes, if it's realistic. If it's not realistic, just make sure they're all over 7.
Yeah.
If you jump 750 in training without measuring it to the exact centimetre, but have you jumped in and around?
Yeah, I've had well, in comps I've had fouls that have been near 750, 760, especially at Island Games.
Small fouls.
Yeah, like I had at Island Games it was 0.3 of a centimetre.
Okay.
And it was like 760. So
Right.
So that's where, and so when I listen to that, the ability is there, and that then gives you confidence to do it. So obviously, if you nail what would be a perfect jump and it is a 750 plus, it is in the locker. It's just whether it's at that moment in time.
Yeah.
And that's obviously, I call it short term. I'm pretty sure a year away, but that's the aims, the commies to the island.
Yeah. And then looking at the last like three commies, it's been about 758 to make the final. So that's like in the back of my head as well, is tick off the standard and then be like 750, 760 would make the final. And then that's when you can just enjoy it.
Yeah. That's good.
When's cut off for that? Like,
but I think it's the 31st of March this year.
And you'll have, I assume then, between that, try and get as many meets or comps in between that.
I've got about maybe 6 or 7 comps in mind indoors. I jump really well indoors, I think, because there's no effect of like the wind or anything. But I'm pretty sure I'll take the Commonwealth standard off in my first or second comp pretty comfortably.
It's athletic season. Appreciate we're now in October. It's now winter training, is it?
Yeah. So it's kind of just the grim sessions now until like just November.
I thought you called them soft earlier.
And then it picks up again in about December, but it really starts getting interesting more February, March time when like national champs is, British champs and that type of thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go high jump, which fascinates me even more. So again, well, I suppose research, but back obviously the type of, well, I was interested today. So the Frosbury, what? It was Frosbury, isn't it? Frosbury.
Yeah,
doesn't sound right, but yeah. So obviously it was a technique that came in the 60s, I think, wasn't it, to improve the height. I'm interested. So I was listening to something today, and you obviously come in at sort of straight towards it, turn at an angle to come parallel to it, I guess, and jump.
Yeah.
So I guess my question: why don't you just start parallel? Why do you have to run in at it?
Because you want to create. if you just run straight, you'll just go straight up and straight back down.
Oh, okay.
So he
okay.
created you're like a U bend.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you start straight and then you go around the bend. So you go up,
and
but because
out.
of the energy you've created on the curve, you'll carry yourself over the bar.
Every day's a school day.
Yeah.
I was just gonna. Yeah, I knew you knew that as well, didn't you, Ben?
Knew that.
Okay, so talk us through those phases of a high jump.
So yeah, so your high jump run is much shorter. My high jump run up is 8 strides. So it's a 4 into a 4. So four strides on the straight,
Okay.
4 strides around the bend.
Right.
So you want to on high jump, your first step is your slowest. Every step gets quicker. Your last step, you want to be the quickest off the ground, and just the quickest turnover. So you want your cadence to every step is quicker, and you're almost like rounding up the speed, and then you take off, and you want to explode, be on the ground for as less time as possible, and then the speed you create will get you across the bar.
When you say you want to be on the ground as little as possible, as in at the last stride, do you mean?
Yeah. So when you plant your foot, you don't want to lose any force out to the ground. You want to be on the ground for as little time as possible, so you're not losing anything.
Yeah, right.
And do you have similar types then where we talk about speed and power? Is that still applicable on this?
Yeah, so it's literally the same thing.
Yeah.
And power jumper needs much less strides to produce that. And so in training, you do a lot of like short run up, and power jumpers will be really good at hitting like nearly PB height again off like 3 or 4 strides, whereas a speed jumper will struggle much more because they need that power around the bend to actually get over the bar.
Yeah, right. Okay. So the amount you run, and that's totally up to the athlete.
Yeah, it is. A lot of it's preference.
Yeah, right.
It takes a lot of confidence to go into a comp with like a 5-stride run up or a 6-stride run up.
Right.
Like I know people that come in on like a 10-stride, which is quite long. And I also know people on a 5-stride. It is preference and how much you back yourself, really.
Yeah, right.
Can you carry too much speed into a jump?
Yeah. And that's when you run the risk of injury. Because the amount of force that goes through your ankle is about 10 times your body weight.
A takeoff.
Yeah, and if you watch like a video of it, the ankle actually rolls.
Oh, okay.
That's why the spikes in the back of your foot stop literally your Achilles tearing apart. So if you come in with too much speed and you're not strong enough to handle it, you'll just roll your ankle and you'll be in a bad way, basically.
Right.
So it's about being as quick as you can handle. You have to trust it, but you can't just run in hell for leather and expect that you're going to clear the bar.
And the run then from either the left side or the right side, again, athlete's choice, just based on how they've learned to high jump.
Yeah, so, people think that you would jump off the foot, you'd maybe kick a football with your more dominant leg, but I actually jump off my less dominant leg because it's the knee swing is where all the power comes from.
Okay, so that's the other leg that's starting to...
Yeah, so the foot you'd kick a football with is actually the leg you don't jump from, but all the power from... It's almost the same as kicking a football. You swing the leg and your knee drives all the way up and you follow through, and that's where all the power in the lift will come from.
Oh, okay. Right, okay. And that's, I assume, then again, we're looking at phases to run up, then that's the phase of the swinging of the leg and the hip.
Yeah,
okay.
But is that the opposite leg you would long jump off?
Yeah.
So you'd long jump off your right leg, high jump, left leg.
Oh, okay. And then obviously the phase of getting the head and the back is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, so it's like, it's kind of split up. So you want to go vertically up, trust the speed on that you've created on the curve to get you over the bar, but you also need to bend your back enough that you're going to create clearance, and then it creates like a flip. So if you flick your legs quick enough, it'll create the energy for you to go over the bar and not just get stuck on top.
Oh, okay. Right. And then obviously bring your legs up and around. Over. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to rotate around the bar so your center of mass actually goes under it.
Okay. Yeah, and I failed physics. And out of interest then, as you take off, do you, like in your head, are you kind of like, this is called running truck? Do you ever know as you do it, like even, just, and the same with long jump, I guess, is the mid-air, I appreciate probably not thinking about it, you kind of land or you do something, you just know, this is good, or I've screwed this up.
It happens so quick, but I think you can tell almost from if you've planted your foot and it's a quick plant. I think sometimes you can tell. You're like,
Yeah.
I know I've got.
Or the other way around, or
Yeah.
a bit flat there or whatever.
Yeah. My coach from away, Emma, she says she can tell if I'm going to clear the bar for my first stride and my run up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so there's videos of her recording me, and I'll do my first stride, and she'll be like, no.
Oh.
Or like, he's got it.
Oh, okay.
And not that you can have interference from someone shouting. Once you've started your stride, that's you and your attempt. It's not that you can run up and go, oh, maybe not this go, and, you know, as in not jump and then try and take it again. Is it kind of like once you've started a stride, that's your official attempt?
Well, no, you get a minute. You get a minute on the timer, so you could run up and then, but there's a line. If you go past the line, then it's classed as a foul. But I think once you do that, you lose all your rhythm.
Yeah,
I think once you've took your first stride, you've just got to commit.
Yeah. And is she telling you then that first stride when she can tell? Is she saying this is what you're doing?
Yeah,
wrong,
yeah.
For the want of a better expression.
Wow.
Yeah, so
what might that be on the first stride?
So the first like 3 or 4 strides they're almost like bounds, not you
kind of see people like almost like Bambi, aren't they?
Yeah. Like... Then that's where you're trying to generate like controlled speed and power. And if you're too soft on your first stride, that's you're losing too much. You're going to lose speed, and that means you're going to have to work twice as hard around the bend. Whereas if you're stiff on your first 3, you can just flow rather than fighting for something you're already losing.
I feel really stupid for asking that question of why you don't just run straight, but you were nodding, so you thought you didn't know either.
I thought it was a great question.
Yeah, but now obviously obvious, isn't it? Now it's explained. Great. So yeah, 213 high jump.
Yeah.
So when was that?
That was September 2024.
All right.
That was it was just a complete. My coach didn't even know I was there. I'd finished my season, and I just did it for a laugh. Really. I was going back to Loughborough for college, and one of my friends was going to the comp, and he was like, "I'll just come down." So I brought my spikes. I'm pretty sure I entered like a few days before. Hadn't been training or anything, and I just gone down. I think because there was no pressure, there was nothing really on it.
Yeah.
I just had like the best day, It was really good conditions, and just somehow managed to pull out I think it was an 8 centimetre PB. I was first in Europe under 18, 4th in the world under 18. But it was just a bit of a surreal because I didn't until 2 or 3 days before I didn't really know I was going. Maybe that is probably why I didn't have time to overthink anything, and it was just purely trying to enjoy it.
Yeah, right. And remind me, sorry, that competition was European. What was that competition?
It was just an open meet.
Oh, okay, right.
I'd had European champs earlier in the year. I came 4th.
Okay.
With the GB vest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That was in Slovakia in July. And then after that was when I didn't really do as much training because I was the main thing of the season's out of the way now. So I was kind of just enjoying it and then stopped training properly. And then that's when it came.
Yeah. It's weird that, isn't it? That, I mean, again, you wonder, obviously we talk a lot about the mind, and it's the ability to almost be able to back off, I guess, and then produce more. And then you kind of doing all this training and then, yeah.
Well, they talk the flow state, don't they? They
Yeah.
talk about the flow state and, you just, maybe just a bit more relaxed. I mean, you're a pretty relaxed character anyway. I can't really imagine that you would get yourself too wound up in any event. But we all have levels anyway. So even for you in that situation, you might just be that one level down and it just unlocks a little bit more.
Yeah.
How you get there, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you find that? Do you think that?
Yeah, I think I've struggled to, in high jump, I've struggled to find a way to get back into that state since then.
No.
I haven't jumped as high since. I've had days where I've been close. The highest I've jumped since then is 207. And that day, I was really ill. So I think, again, I just expected nothing. I think, so there was no pressure. I was just I'm just going to go and just see what I could do. And that was the closest I've been since, whereas there's been days where I've piled it on and gone, I'm a 213 jumper. I've got to jump 215 today to prove it wasn't just a fluke.
Right.
And then it just doesn't happen when you start doing stuff like that.
And appreciating you're still very young, do you work on any of that? Obviously, we're talking here now and we're kind of going, maybe I need to work on that mind.
I definitely I do need to. I just thought, like I said, I was just naive to it. I just thought I'd keep going the way I was going, and I always just thought, like, mentally I was fine, in terms of like handling pressure. But maybe that is something I need to look into more.
Yeah. If you go to big meets, do you, like, obviously we think pressure, we think butterfly, stomach, that kind of, like, do you have that? Or Ben was describing, it sounds like you're fairly chill, but maybe not, I don't know, go.
I feel the pressure, but I love the feeling of it though.
Right.
It's like, it's when I was at European Champs, like I love the feeling of like a full stadium.
Okay.
And at Island Games, like it's busy, there's like expectation on you. I love that feeling. Like the adrenaline, the rush it gives you. But I think you can almost get like too over aroused by it.
Yeah.
And you can go into like, I think it's trying to find like a sweet spot. But I've definitely had times this year where I've gone way too far and I'm way too aroused, way too up for it, and it just goes horrendous.
Yeah, right.
So I need to find a way to stay in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Find a routine or a mental space that's going to keep me there.
And that, like you mentioned, Slovakia, did you say?
Yeah.
The traveling, is that like with GB when you call up? If they'll meet you at the airport in Slovakia. How does logistically it all work?
So you get a call, and they're like, just say congratulations, you've been selected, and then they give you a place to meet. So it was meet at Heathrow.
Oh, okay.
About a week before the comp started. So you meet at Heathrow, meet the team.
I know obviously people from track events and stuff.
Yeah. So it's familiar faces, like especially from like national champs. So most of them I'd seen before if I didn't know them. It's just like easy to start a conversation with. And then you travel all together and like, so you play and then coach. And the rooms, it's just random. It's just completely random. I was staying with the middle distance runners, and I wasn't sure how I was going to get on with them, but I was actually got on really well. Because I was the only male jumper that they took. They didn't take any long jumpers or any other high jumpers or triple jumpers. So I think that's why I was put in the middle distance runners.
Right.
But it ended up to be a bit of a blessing in disguise, really.
Yeah, right.
I said to him after that meeting, he came into the gym maybe a week or two later, and he comes in. I said, "Where's your GB kit?" Just like in his normal training. He's like, "Oh no, I'm not wearing it." I would be. I'd be wearing it. That's good.
Actually, right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you said for the commies, we're talking long jump. Is that also on the rise for high jump? Was it focusing on?
I think it's possible for both.
215, did you say before?
Yeah, so it's only 2 centimeters. A year ago, I would have said 100%. But I think I've just drove myself crazy with high jump. Just like trying to find out why I'm not getting to where I want to be. But it's when you make such a big jump, I went from 208 to 213 in literally like 2 weeks really. Well, my first comp in 2024, I jumped 190 and then I ended on 213. And then I think I expected to just keep going, but I thought by now I'd be jumping 220. And it just didn't happen. So my main focus is 100% long jump for commies, and if I get in for high, it's great. But it's not on like the front of my mind.
Is it like a sweet spot in it? I appreciate you might not know this, but in regard to like Matt and I are into cycling, so like early 20s now to mid 20s is kind of seems to be the sweet spot. Where back in the day, it was like you need to be older and more endurance. In those sports, is there a sweet spot for ages?
I don't know if there's a sweet spot, but I can't imagine. Well, you would have to look at the current age of the world top 10, I imagine, to figure that out. But you will lose an element of strength and power as each year goes by. So my guess would be the sweet spot is probably going to be around late 20s.
Okay.
I would guess mid to late 20s. And I think there is some statistics around when you hit 30, every decade after, you lose something like 10% of your strength and power. So yeah, I would say, your side of 30, our side.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, but there's definitely still some physical maturing to be had. I mean, he's only 18.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect you've probably reached your growth on height, but in terms of what the musculoskeletal system can produce, there's definitely still more there.
Yeah.
It's not a given that it'll convert into distance or height, but there's every reason why it should.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you look at the raw aspect of the sport, and it is a speed, strength, and power sport, obviously, as Regan said before. So from my point of view, I always just think, well, if we can get him a little bit stronger, albeit it's in a gym environment, so we can measure it on the plates and we can go, okay, well, we know he's producing more force and power. Then it's almost like at that point, it's like I just hope it converts over. And it might be that it needs the perfect jump. It might need to be perfect, but I think that's when PBs happen, isn't it? When everything just comes together.
Yeah. Obviously, well, say you got a coach, and they're the technique side. They're working on the technique. So will you watch slow-mo videos with them and et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. Some of high jump, long jump sessions can be quite tedious. It's kind of like breaking apart the whole jump, and sometimes it can just be a complete information overload. And you just have to stop the session. It's not like you're not going to get anything from it.
Are you happy to be vocal about that?
Yeah. I think I struggle with that the most. But some people, I think it's just preference. Some people love to tear it apart and like really deep dive into it. I don't. I think it just overcomplicates everything. I don't think high jump, long jump is actually that difficult. I think it's how you think about it. So I'm not really a fan of sessions where you tear it apart every bit and trying to because I think everyone jumps differently. If you're trying to make everyone jump the exact same, it's not going to work. Like different builds depend how you jump. But it's just part of the thing. Like you some of the sessions you just got to get on with it. Just listen. Although you're not enjoying it, you'll enjoy it when you do jump a PB.
Yeah. So other types of training, obviously in the gym, if you're doing stuff on the track, aside from, I assume, because I assume you don't actually do long jumping a mass amount just because you don't want the pounding effect of that. So is it then doing sprint work? What type of sessions, for the want of a better expression, are you doing for both events?
Well, yeah, I only really long jump. I haven't even started long jump training or high jump training for the next season yet. But in the season, I probably jump once a week. And then the rest, it's sprint sessions 3 or 4 times a week. In the gym, hopefully about twice. And then the others is plyo sessions down the track. So it's hurdle hops, bounding.
So doing that stuff is a bit tedious as well.
I don't mind some of it. I like when there's other people at the track you can compete. I'm not a fan of doing it on my own. I think it's almost it's not really my type of thing.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have someone else there and compete with it. If you can turn it into more of a competitive environment, say I've got a bounding session and it's 4 sets of 8 bounds, I'd much rather try and measure the bounds and have someone with me and see who can do the most, who can jump the furthest distance in the 8 bounds, rather than just getting the session done. There's almost no real reward there.
She's super competitive.
Yeah, I try and turn everything into a competition.
Oh, right.
We talk about intent a lot, and definitely when he's in the gym and we're talking about a power-based session, it is all about intent. You can move a bar or you can move a bar fast, and it's having that mentality to every single rep, drive through the bar, move it fast.
Okay.
So that's just the same, isn't it? Really, you can bound, but you can probably give it 70% and you can still bound. Or if you're competing against someone, you're giving it 100%.
Yeah, right.
So the intent of those bounds and the outcome of that will obviously be higher.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. So 18 now. What's day to day look like?
So I train every day at the minute. I think that'll change as I go closer to the competition period. Towards December time, I'll probably have maybe a rest day once a week. And then the actual training load will go down in terms of running. At the minute, it's just grim sessions, proper lactic sessions. So I started training again. Do you have
It's with Harriers?
This is...
just...
So I do... My coach from Loughborough, because I've come back on a gap year, she's still setting me the sessions. So I'm being coached remotely. So I was training on my own, and then about 2 weeks ago, I started training with Ben Sinclair's group, Simon Sinclair's group, just because I didn't want to be on my own anymore, and like I was saying about competing. So I was doing a few sessions with them, and the intensity's like gone like right up. Like ever since I've thrown up every session since I've been with them.
Okay.
So like the intensity's up, and I think
You've gone Russian.
yeah, I think it's yeah, just running with people. And obviously, when you're running with people, you know their level. So it's like they're starting to beat you, or you're not far away from them. You can see improvements. Whereas training on your own, it's so much easier to slack off.
Does nutrition play a big part in the high jump, long jump world and what you do?
Yeah, so it's a high jump comp can go on for 2 hours. So fueling yourself properly is really important. That's something I'm really poor at. I only like really figured that out this year. My nutrition was quite really poor. But obviously if you're out, especially somewhere like Slovakia at Euros, so we were out in the sun in like 40-degree heat for I think 2.5 hours. So that was qualifying, and then the final was the day after. So that's 2 days in a row you're out in the heat. And
Not
if you're
good
not
for
like
your Manx skin, is it?
no, and obviously there's so much adrenaline that drains you. And like I think I woke up after qualifying and I was like, I should have eaten a lot more, fueled myself properly. I realised I'd made like a massive mistake. Because just being in the sun alone for like 2.5 hours is going to drain you. Never mind the competition, like pressures and.
What are you sort of taking during that time then? And
Or should we take
yeah,
it?
well,
Maybe it's a
no,
better
you know
expression
what I
for
mean,
you.
as in, from us cyclists, gels and things like that. Is that what's the best thing for you guys, or what is it you kind of have on those?
Yeah, so you see, most jumpers will bring out. They'll have like 2 or 3 bags of like Haribos or like jelly babies and stuff. I didn't have anything like that. I had like water and maybe like a Coke, something. So I was probably a bit just naive. So I almost kind of overlooked it and thought, if you're good enough, you're good enough. I don't need to worry about that. And because I was so young, I was like, I'm not old enough where I need to start worrying about things like this. I think it's just my own stupidity, really.
Just learning.
It's hard to measure energy, though, isn't it? Because when you boys are on the bike, energy, you can feel when your energy goes. Your power meters will probably tell you when your energy goes. But obviously, it's different in situations like that because it's a few seconds worth of explosive energy. You can't measure it. You actually do it, can they? Does anyone have any devices on like shoes and stuff to measure speed and power? If not, there's an idea. But I think that must be really difficult. I know a bit of work I've done with either my netball around hydration or rehydration strategies involves pre and post weighing, and it's on the assumption that any body mass lost during a game is linked to fluid loss or dehydration. So we put rehydration strategies in place. And I wonder if there's something similar that can be done in events like this. I mean, we haven't spoke about this, and it's not a conversation we've actually had, but there must be some sort of measurables put in place to give us something tangible to go, okay, well, like over a comp, you might lose a kilo, but it's not a kilo of body fat, is it? It's a kilo of something, which is potentially going to be fluid. And if that's dehydration's linked to loss of performance. So I don't know, maybe there is something like that, but
I'd imagine, dehydration, like your cognitive function isn't as good.
Yeah,
I'd assume muscles are less. Like they're just, I mean, dry is a wrong term, but just less everything. Yeah, so I'd thought it'd be important.
I'd potentially be a bit more interested in around caffeine strategies,
right? Yeah,
as well, because if you can sufficiently fuel for the event, so you know that you're going to be, you've got plenty of carbs in you, and the energy's there, but then it's more about how alert you are. So with an event like any jumping event or sprinting, there are some really good caffeine strategies around to eke out performance.
Okay.
I think it's quite hard to get where you want to be. It's really difficult. But creatine is another one. You have to look at these sorts of things now because it all forms part of the energy systems that Regan will be using.
So
Yeah, I think there's probably a bit of work in that area.
Yeah, I'd have thought, to like, because I imagine, but obviously particularly both those events to me anyway, they sound very technical. So it's like it's executing every technical part. And I suppose we were talking earlier about being relaxed and perhaps performing better. Again, being relaxed is really your cognitive behavior, isn't it? Because you're telling your body, and so it would seem to interlink. So go on.
No, just want to stick in quickly on that nutrition part then. Does weight factor a lot in that then? Is it something that's measured and looked at? Because again, from the cycling world, power to weight ratio and things of that nature, and I appreciate, we spoke earlier about the speed versus power, and depending on what build you are, was probably going to also have a dictating factor on that. Is that something that is in your mind? Is that a thing in the long jumping, high jump world of trying to be within a certain, whatever graph you want to use in a certain sweet spot, or just use as a factor? Is that something that you are conscious of, or in that?
In high jump, weight's much more important than long jump. Like the best high jumpers in the world, the most dominant one in recent years, is from Qatar, Barshim. He's 6'5", but weighs 59 kilos. So you can imagine like how skinny he really is. And they do a lot of weight cutting. There's Italian high jumper Tamberi who went to the Olympics last year. Because of the weight he'd lost, he got kidney stones and nearly had kidney failure day before like the final. Because like
they the two that shared the gold, the previous one.
Yeah, that's them. So they went to the Olympics as defending champs, and one of them nearly had kidney failure because of the weight cutting. So it does play a big role. I think it becomes more important the older you get. I don't think when Bosch was maybe 24, he weighed much. He was about 65 kilos. And the older he gets, he tries to cut the weight much more. So it's more. It's not something I necessarily worry about, and I don't think I'll worry about for a while. But when I'm near 30 is when it'll start to creep in. It's like, how important is this?
It's more marginal gains.
Like what would be the ideal weight for me?
Well, I think a lot of sports is power to weight ratio, isn't it? It's big in cycling. Last time we measured Regan's jumps on the plates, his peak relative power had gone up. And I think your jump height had gone up a little bit. I can't remember what your jump height was, but basically it was ridiculous anyway, and it was like a little bit more. But there was a bigger shift in his relative power, and it was important for us to understand relative power rather than just power, because it may well have been that he put on a few kilos of mass, whether that's fat mass or lean mass, but the relative power had gone up, so it didn't really matter at that point what Regan's mass was, because he was producing higher wattage per kilo. And it's like you only sort of have to, well, Regan would look at himself in the mirror and know if he's a bit out of shape or not. But yeah, as long as you're kind of moving well and moving fast and jumping high, it probably doesn't matter a great deal, does it? Because something's working.
Yeah, exactly. So when we talk about the gap year here, what, like outside of sport, what's happening for that gap year?
Just got a job at St Ninians, being an education support officer. Just waiting for my DVS to go through, and then hopefully I get a start date and get to work. But I wanted to work at a school. Just my knowledge around sport, and then obviously I was at college for 2 years doing coaching, so it's similar type of thing. And with training, it works perfect. I'd finish at 3:30. I wouldn't have to train at 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And then having half terms off is a chance to go back to Loughborough and see my coach in person. So I'd have to be coached remotely for say a week at a time. There was so many benefits to working there, and it's something I was interested in. So,
and was that strategy part of to be able to do that as part of the plan to try and get to the commies?
Yeah, so I wasn't 100% sure I wanted to go to uni, and it was it's a bit of a thing. There's no point going to uni if you're not 100% sure. I just didn't think I was going to enjoy it that much. My only real source of enjoyment is coming from training. It doesn't create a very good relationship outside of that. And then if I was to get injured, I think I'd just be in a bad way. So I thought I'd decide to come home for the year. So I spoke to my coach about it. She was more than happy to coach me remotely for the year.
Do you think you'll go back? appreciating that you might not want to commit to that right now.
I think eventually I will have to go back.
Yeah. Want to go back.
Yeah. At the minute, I'm enjoying being home. I think my nutrition went downhill when I was away really badly. So now I'm back home living with my parents. It's like nutrition's got better, sleep's got better. It's so easy to have like bad habits when you're away, staying up late and things like that. So I'm glad I'm back. So I'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see what happens after commies, where I go, where I end up.
And you obviously perform an exceptionally high level. You come back to Ironman, I guess, if you're around other sports, people, maybe youngsters, do you, maybe won't want to say, but do you consider yourself a bit of a role model for?
I do try. I try to be, especially in the athletic scene. I think I do try to set a good example. I enjoy that. I like trying to be. I want to be the type of person someone could look at and be like, oh, I want to be like Regan. But at the same time, try not to think about it too much. You don't want to like overly criticize yourself. You are who you are at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There's a couple of young athletes in the gym that their parents have said, as a bit of feedback, and they said, oh, they came home like buzzing today because they were in the same session as like Regan, and they're like sort of 12-year-old, 13-year-olds athletics kids, just getting involved in jumps and sprints. So, it's funny, isn't it? Like you sort of, well, I don't even know if you knew that actually, but you'd have just come in the gym, got your workout done, gone. But the perception of that from the other people is like, oh, well, that's what Regan's doing, and it's like, how good was that to be in that same session? So it does have an impact, doesn't it, on a broader scale?
Yeah. Well, listen, obviously, we met first time today. You articulate yourself very well, very, so you can see a certain presence about you. So therefore, you'd obviously the kids around you, and not necessarily younger as well, older people.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations on all your success so far. Obviously, commies, you sound very confident. So ergo, we are as well. So good luck with the training over the winter and the Russian sessions.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming in, Ben, as well. Go on.
That's all right. Before we sign off, I know that, and Regan won't say this, but he is looking for, or he's seeking sponsorship at the moment as well. And that wasn't the point of this podcast, but it just seems silly not to mention in obviously his quest to get to commies and how that journey looks as well. So if there is anyone that is listening and their businesses, or if anyone wants to get involved in supporting that journey, then either get in touch directly via you guys.
Whatever works. Yeah, and we'll put some. You're on socials. You kids are on socials. Like TikTok and all that stuff. So we can put your handles in there. For sure. Right, it's that important. Because certainly in the business, I mean, Matt, you had that same conversation to support Manx athletes and help them get through to the next.
It's difficult, isn't it? And I don't think the genuine athletes that have got a genuine shot at such a high level of performance doesn't happen too often. So I think when we get those opportunities, it's we should really try.
Yeah, for sure.
It's mental when you think though, like if I was in the same position in football, be a millionaire, one of the best under 18 footballers in the world, and then in athletics, you're like I suppose it's individual sports, or I suppose it's the same in cycling and swimming as well. It's so hard because it's not a team sport.
Yeah.
And it is so much harder. It's almost like off your own back.
So you should have stayed at football when you came to your gym.
I know.
No, but you're right, and it's I suppose it's just the world, isn't it? But it's sad. You see like amazing athletes in certain sports, even if they're top of their game in the world, and it's just basically a hobby, isn't it? Because they're not getting any salary from it yet. In other sports, it's just so affluent. So look, people want to reach out, help support. They should be, and obviously a very good ambassador in regard to that from my comments around how you present yourself as well, and talk about your sport as well for such a young lad, which might sound patronising from an old man, but hey ho. So thank you both for coming in. Thank you for your time. It's a word out from Martin.
And word out from Matt.
Poor flimsy humans. Don't you wish you were flawless like me? A towering inferno of physical perfection?
I hate to pop your blimp-like ego, but you're not perfect.